My name is Gabriella. I'm sitting in my new, sunlit one-bedroom apartment in a city where no one knows me. A mutual acquaintance from back home just sent me a message saying that my parents' house is on an auction site. It's a strange feeling, watching their world crumble from a distance. I remember the day I drove out of my old life, my car packed to the brim. I turned off my phone, not wanting to hear their pleas. When I finally turned it back on, there were countless missed calls and texts, but I ignored them all. Let me take you back to how it all started. I come from a family that always seemed to put on a show of success. My parents, Robert and Amelia, were all about appearances. My father, Robert, was a real estate agent. He always boasted about his deals, but in reality, his business was struggling. My mother, Amelia, worked part-time at a local art gallery, but her income was barely enough to cover the little things. I was the one who kept the family afloat. I worked as a data analyst at a mid-sized firm, earning around $45,000 a year. It wasn't a fortune, but I made it work. I rented a small studio apartment from an elderly lady named Mrs. Thompson, who was very kind. 2 weeks before all this chaos, it was my 30th birthday. I decided to treat my family to dinner at a nice French bistro in town. I offered to pay, thinking it would be a nice gesture. Little did I know it would turn into a nightmare. We sat down at the table, and from the moment we did, the insults started. My mother asked how work was going. Before I could answer, she said to the table, "When people ask what Gabriella does, I just say she's in data management. Saying she's stuck in a cubicle analyzing spreadsheets all day doesn't sound very glamorous." My father cut in, "My nephew, Lucas, just bought his second luxury car. He's only 27. And here you are, still renting a tiny studio." My brother, Jake, laughed and said, "At least you don't have to worry about car payments. You can't even afford to save a dime." My sister, Lily, reached across the table, grabbed my phone, and opened my banking app. She held up the screen, showing everyone my negative balance of $67. "Look at this. Who shows up to their own birthday this broke?" She cackled. Then, my father stood up with his glass in hand. "To our biggest letdown," he said, looking everywhere but at me. "May you find someone rich enough to take care of you so you don't come crawling back home." Everyone at the table laughed and clinked their glasses. My mother casually mentioned that they had updated their will. "We're leaving everything to the kids who know how to handle money. Gabriella would just waste it on takeout and new clothes." I sat there, my hands in my lap, feeling humiliated. I didn't argue, cry, or storm out. I just asked for the check. The total, with tax and tip, was $420. My credit card went through, but my checking account was as empty as their words of kindness. Outside the restaurant, they all acted like nothing had happened. My mother hugged me and said she'd see me at Christmas. My brother slapped my back, and my sister asked if I wanted the group photo. No apologies, no concern for how I felt. I drove back to my studio, parked my car, and sat there until the windows fogged up. The word letdown kept echoing in my head. When I went inside, I opened my laptop and looked at the 3 accounts that had been draining my life for years. For the past 5 years, I had been sending between $900 and $1,300 from my paycheck to my parents' mortgage. When my father's business started to fail, he asked me for help, just for a few months. But those few months turned into years. My brother, Jake, wanted a new sports car for his job. His credit was bad, so he asked me to co-sign. He promised he'd never be late on payments, but 3 times in 2 years, he called me when he was behind. I always paid to keep the loan from defaulting. My mother always told me not to tell Jake and Lily about the money I was giving them. She said it would cause drama. So, they thought I was the broke one, while I was the one keeping their lives together. After that horrible dinner, I went silent. I ignored my mother's texts about Christmas plans. I let my father's missed calls pile up. At work, I kept my headphones on and focused on my tasks, ignoring the buzzing phone in my drawer. 10 days after the dinner, my mother sent me a long message saying she was worried about me being distant, but she didn't mention the birthday toast or the will. 15 days later, my father left a voicemail about something important regarding the house, but still, no apology. 20 days after the dinner, I counted the messages from my family. They had sent me 152 messages through various channels, demanding to know why I was ignoring them and warning me about consequences. They had no idea that I was the one who had been holding their world together. On the first of the month after my birthday, the effects of my actions started to show. The automatic payment I had been sending to my parents' mortgage for 5 years didn't go through because I had canceled it. The bank tried to draft from my father's nearly empty account, pushing it into the red and sending a warning letter. My mother bombarded me with texts, asking what was wrong with the auto pay. My father left a voicemail ranting about the lenders playing games. I knew exactly what was happening. I had called the mortgage company while the waiter was wrapping my uneaten food at the restaurant. I asked them to remove my card and cancel the draft. The representative was surprised that I was the one paying, not the owners of the house. On the 7th of the month, my father was waiting for me in the parking lot outside my office. It was dark, and I recognized his car parked haphazardly. He motioned for me to roll down the window. "We need to talk about the house," he said in a hushed tone. I lied and said I had somewhere to go. He asked why the mortgage payment had been canceled. I reminded him that I was the one who set it up and could stop it. He stammered, "You can't do this. We were counting on you." I asked him if he remembered what he said at my birthday dinner. His eyes averted, and he mumbled something about giving me a push. I put my car in reverse and drove away. That night, my brother called. "Did you stop paying my car?" he demanded. I reminded him of all the times he had let me down, of the humiliation at the birthday dinner. I told him that from now on, he'd have to face the consequences of his actions. 2 days later, on my way to work, I saw a tow truck hooking Jake's sports car in the visitor lot. He was standing there, yelling at me through the glass doors. I just walked past him and went to my desk, knowing that for the first time, he was facing the results of his own choices. After that, I decided I couldn't stay in that studio anymore. It felt like a prison, keeping me close to a family that used me. I told Mrs. Thompson I'd be moving out by the middle of the next month. She was understanding and even offered to write me a reference. I used part of my secret online savings account, which I had built up over 3 years by living frugally, to pay for a 3-week stay at an extended stay hotel. The move was quick, everything I owned fit in the back of my car. My mother found out I had moved when she came to my old place to ask about the mortgage late fees. She bombarded me with texts, calling me cold and selfish. My aunt, Clara, started calling, leaving voicemails about how I was ruining my parents' lives. My sister, Lily, finally caught up with me at a grocery store. She said I was destroying our family, that our parents might lose the house. I showed her the transaction history on my phone, years of regular transfers. She was shocked and asked why our parents had never told them. I told her to go home and ask. As Christmas approached, my family's messages became more desperate. My mother sent long emails about forgiveness, but she still didn't apologize. My father texted, saying he had gone too far at the dinner but then reminded me that they needed me. My brother tried to come to my office again, but security stopped him. He texted, saying I was being heartless. I told him that I had accepted a new job in another state, a fully remote position with a tech company that paid $75,000 a year. I was finally going to have a life of my own. My mother's last attempt was to say that if I didn't call her back, I was no longer her daughter. My father sent a guilt-ridden message about losing the house. I blocked all their numbers and emails. Now, here I am, in my new apartment, looking at the second-hand furniture I've chosen for myself. I log into my bank account, and it's not being drained to pay someone else's bills. I don't feel triumphant about my family's downfall, but I do feel peace. I've learned that blood doesn't give someone the right to use you. Self-respect means stepping away from those who don't value you.